Okay, so today's opener is going to be a review over what we've covered so far this week. Now, if you keep in mind, tomorrow you're going to have a quiz over these exact same type of problems. So make sure you're paying close attention because, like I said, Friday, you're going to have a quiz over operations on fractions. So let's take a look at the first one here. We have 3/4 plus 3/5. When I'm adding and subtracting fractions, can I go ahead and just add them together if the denominator is not the same? If I don't have a calculator. So if I have 3/4 plus 3/5, can I just add these two together?
Yes.
I can? If I don't have a calculator? No, why not? You're shaking your head back there. Why not? And don't tell me you don't know because you have a yellow note sheet that you can look at. And you can tell me exactly why you can't just add these two together right off the bat. My denominator is not the same. So I had to have a common denominator. So the quickest and easiest way to get a common denominator for 4 and 5 would be to do what to them? How do I make the denominator the same?
By multiplying 5 and 4.
Yeah, good. I can just multiply the denominators together to get a new denominator. So if I take 4 times 5, I'm going to get 20. So that's going to be my new denominator. Now, if I get a new denominator, I also have to get a new numerator. So I have to think to myself, 4 times what got me to 20? So if I multiplied the bottom number by 5, I have to multiply my numerator, my top number, by 5. So it's 3 times 5.
15.
Okay? So then we're going to look at our next one and think 5 times what got us to 20?
4.
So then I have to multiply my numerator by 4. So what's 3 times 4? 12. Now that they have a common denominator, 20, we can go ahead and move on to the next step, which just says add your numerators. So what's 15 plus 12?
27.
And then the denominator stays the same. So what's my denominator?
20.
And then dealing with fractions, we always have to see if we can simplify. Can I simplify 27 over 20? No. So that's going to be my final answer. Okay, guys. Any questions on that first one? Now, if you use your calculator, it's going to do all that work for you. Move it down. All right, let's take a look at the second problem. 5/12 minus 5/8. Now, this is going to be the exact same steps that we had to do as what we did when we added fractions. The rules are the same. The steps are the same. So looking at 5/12 and 5/8, they don't have a common denominator, so I'm going to have to find one. Now, if I just multiply 12 times 8, that's going to get me a pretty big number. And then I'm going to end up with larger numbers to simplify. Can anybody tell me what the least common multiple of 12 and 8 would be?
4.
Nope. 24. Because remember we have to skip count. So skip count by 8. 8, 16, 24, 32. And then if I skip count by 12s, I'd say 12, 24, 36. The first number they share is 24. Now they're both divisible by 4. That's a not least common multiple, greatest common divisor. Yeah, I used to get those mixed up a little bit too. So good. So we're going to use the least common multiple of 24 just because we don't want to deal with larger numbers. Now, if you did not know how to get that and you did not have a calculator, you could definitely still take 12 times 8 to get a new denominator. You're just going to have larger numbers to work with. Okay? From there, since we got new denominators, we have to get new numerators. So 12 times what will get me to 24?
2.
2, good. So then what am I going to have to also multiply by 2?
5.
The 5. So what's 5 times 2?
10.
Can somebody else answer?
All right.
I'm not ready to go in.
Exactly. We're gonna. Okay. All right. Darius, can't say anything this time. Rihanna,
Thank you.
this is all you. Okay. 8 times what gets me to 24?
Is it 3?
It is 3. So now what do I have to do with that 3?
Ain't you supposed to be like, ain't you supposed to multiply by 5?
You are. And what do you end up getting when you do that?
15.
Nice job. Okay, now, before I even answer this, when I take 10 minus 15, what type of number am I going to get? 10 minus 15.
A small number?
It is going to be a small number. But I heard it. It's going to be a negative number. So what's 10 minus 15, anybody? Negative what?
5.
Okay. And then your denominator? Anybody? 24. Now, can you simplify 5 and 24?
Nope.
Nope, you can't. So you're going to box it up. Remember, you may not. You can write the negative sign right in front of the fraction bar, or you can write it in the numerator, but you cannot write the negative sign in the denominator. That is not okay. So let's say that you have a problem like when you divide, when we flip them. Let's say that negative ends up being in the bottom. All you have to do is take it and move it to the top. Okay? So anytime that you end up with the negative in the denominator, take it, move it to the top in order to get an acceptable answer. Okay, nice job. Let's look at the next one. Now these ones are my favorite. I like to multiply and divide fractions. I feel like it's easier than adding and subtracting fractions. So when I multiply fractions, I have less steps to do than like when I add or subtract fractions. But here I have a whole number times a fraction. So Jemiah, how am I going to change this whole number into a fraction? Do you know what I mean by that? Okay. Do you have any idea? It's okay if you don't. Okay.
This one was hard.
That's okay. So I have 12 times 3/4. I need to turn that 12 into a fraction. Who knows how to do that? Anybody?
No.
Anybody at all? Knows.
Oh,
I know it. You need to put his head down.
Nick,
put a 100.
put a 100. That's right. Good. So anytime you have a whole number and you want to change it to a fraction, just put a 100. All right. I like to simplify at the beginning. So if you're looking at your notes, step 1 says reduce any numerator with any denominator. So Brendan, looking at this, can you reduce any numerator with any denominator? Can you reduce the 12 and the 1? What about the 12 and the 4? Okay, what are they both divisible by? 4. So what's 12 divided by 4, Brendan? Okay. And 4 divided by 4? Not multiply. 4 divided by 4. 1. Good. Well, now that both of my denominators are 1, I know I'm not going to be able to reduce any further because 1's simplest form. So I'm ready to move to step 2. Asia. Step 2 says to multiply your numerators. So multiply the numerators out for me. My numerators. Remember, when we're dealing with fraction, numerator's the top, denominator's the bottom. So if I multiply my numerators together,
Alright, so I need 35?
so it's 3 times what? 3. So it's 3 times 3. Which I just said. 9. Then the second step says multiply my denominators together, my bottom numbers. So what's my bottom numbers to multiply together? 1. Now, when we get to graphing, you would leave it as 9 over 1 because you would want to have that 1 to help you graph. So you could leave it as 9 over 1, or what's 9 over 1 in simplest form?
9.
Yeah, just 9. You don't really need to keep that 1 under it. So either one of those answers I would take. They're both right. So it could be 9, or you could leave it as 9 over 1, but 9 is going to be simplest form. Either one of those is okay, though. How many of you guys worked it out without using your calculator? Okay, let's take a look at our next one, our last one. Dividing. What acronym, what mnemonic device do we use for division? Darius? What 3 letters do we use to help us remember what to do?
KFC.
KFC. So we're going to keep, flip, and change. So Kelsey, if I'm going to keep, what does that mean? Stays the same. If I'm going to flip, I'm going to find the reciprocal of which fraction. And then change. What do I change, Kelsey? So now we just have a multiplication problem. So we're going to follow the multiplication rules. So after we keep, flip, change, we're going to go ahead and we're going to see if I can simplify any numerator with any denominator. Isaiah, can I simplify any of these numerators with any of the denominators? Well, let's look. Can I simplify 2 with the 3? What about 2 with the 5? No. What about 6 with the 5? Are they both divisible by the same number? Yeah. Anything else besides 1? Nope. What about the 6 and the 3? Not by 2, but by 3. So what's 6 divided by 3? 2. And what's 3 divided by 3? 1. So now, once I cross these off, I put a new number in place. So now we're going to go to the next step, which is multiply my numerators. So, Brendan, multiply my numerators for me. 2 times 2 is 4. Go ahead and multiply my denominators. Brendan? 5. And since I reduced at the beginning, I don't have to worry about it at the end. So my final answer is going to be 4/5. Now, the whole point of openers is for you guys to practice what we've been learning. It's to show that you're able to remember it and get it done correctly. My goal is for you guys to complete the openers on your own, and then you just use, when I go over and the answers with you, it's just to use and check, double check that you showed everything correctly. Now let's say you missed one. You want to make sure you fix it so you still get full credit for the openers. What you don't want to do is waste the first 7 minutes of class and not do any of the opener and just wait for me to give you the answers. That's not going to teach you anything, okay? Questions, comments, concerns? Okay, go ahead and pass them towards Mr. McFarland.